Christy Lee, hello.
Hey, Juliet, how are you?
I'm well. How you going?
I'm okay. I'm
Yeah,
doing okay. I'm moving along. Probably fits in perfectly with today's episode.
I think it does because I know both of us have had a pretty slow start the last couple of months. So we're talking today about getting yourself out of a bit of a slump. And
Mm,
I know, I thought it was just me, but the more I talk to people, and I know you've had this experience as well, I think it's been a pretty universal thing this year that when maybe it's, good old COVID related, where people don't feel rested coming out of their holidays and things. But I think it is a real challenge, isn't it? Because I normally come back from holidays and hit the ground and I've got all sorts of ideas firing and I'm doing things. And, this year has been a very slow start. Have you had that sort of experience?
absolutely. And I think when we say slow start, it's not that there's not plenty for both of us to be doing because
No,
we're both very
absolutely.
busy,
Yeah.
but slow in terms of just finding that motivation, that rhythm, the usual energy that I have at the beginning of a year. I'm a bit the same. I love the
Mm,
start of a new year, and the time of recording this, it's a little bit past that, but I definitely have found the same. And
mm.
I thought I thought it was just me until I was talking to people, because I didn't take a huge break over Christmas this year, but that's not usually such an issue. And I thought, oh, maybe it's just because I didn't get a good enough break.
Mm.
But I don't think actually that's the problem. And I think there's a lot of people that just are
No.
finding their energies a bit zapped in this first quarter of
Yes,
2022.
I think that's right. So let's talk about strategies for pulling
Yeah.
yourself out of it because I know we both have some. What are your best tips for just getting yourself going again when you're
Yeah.
feeling a bit sort of, blah?
Yeah, look, there's a few things that I try and do. One is I'll try and put a few things on autopilot in my life, so I don't have to
Yes.
think so much. Because I think sometimes, particularly, and I think this is part of it, why everyone is feeling like this at this point, we've got a bit of decision fatigue going on with all the,
Yes.
life decisions. I know where I'm in New South Wales, and I was chatting to a mum at the bus stop yesterday, and we were both saying that we really didn't enjoy January this year because usually it's a great time. The kids are on
Yeah.
holidays. We're trying to take a break. But we had to navigate some really hardcore decisions around the whole COVID
Mm.
situation. And we were just all a little bit over it. We didn't enjoy it. So I think if you can remove some of the decisions you need to make each and every day, that can really help so that you don't have
Mm.
that decision fatigue. So there's things that you can just put on autopilot,
Yeah.
or just somehow bake into your day that you don't have to think about and you're going to just do and get done.
Hmm. Hmm.
And this comes back to just having a plan. Just, my to-do list is these things have to get done today.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I'm not going to think about whether they're getting done. They will get done.
Mm. I think that's it. I find that if I have a bit of a plan and just can get a few things done, I feel
Mm,
better. I feel like I've achieved something.
mm,
But I certainly had that decision fatigue. I stayed with some friends in January on my way back to Melbourne, and I was on my own. And when I arrived, I just said to them, I don't care what we do. I just don't want to make a decision. Don't ask me what I want for dinner or, what the drinks are. Just bring it. I don't care.
yeah.
And it was just lovely to have a couple of days where somebody else
Yeah.
made those really simple decisions. It's much harder in work because obviously there's lots of things we have to decide about.
Yeah.
So I love the idea of, just getting things a bit on autopilot, the things that you can. But yeah, I love a plan. I love
Mhm.
being able to say, okay, I've actually can tick off a couple of things,
Yeah.
so that I feel like I'm moving somewhere. But
And
I
I
think
think
also, sorry, go on.
I think with your planning as well, you can take the pressure off the planning by, as you said, just having a couple of things. So
Mm,
sometimes when I'm particularly overwhelmed with the lengthy to-do list, I will just highlight three things that if I only got
right.
those three things done that day, it would still be a successful, productive day,
Yes.
despite the
Yeah.
fact that there are 1,000 things. If I, just pick
Mm.
three that are actually going to really matter. And I think that can just help to say, I didn't get everything done, but I got the three most important things done.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. Yes. So, and something is moving.
Yeah.
And the other thing I find helps me is just stopping the doing in a sense and going back to some big picture planning.
Hmm.
So looking at my year and saying, where do I want to be? And putting some big markers in.
Mm.
So it's not moving the dial today, but it makes me feel that at least we're heading somewhere. Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, just taking that zoom up and remembering that today is just part of the bigger picture.
Well, I think that's right, because otherwise you can get sort of bogged down in this, oh God, there's nothing happening. But for me anyway, looking at that bigger picture and being able to say, oh, I still can see where we're heading. I'm just not going to get there today.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I think also just being gentle with yourself is part of it, isn't it? I know you and I have talked about that, just giving yourself a break sometimes.
Definitely. And I'm a huge advocate, and I talk about this a lot, that self-care is not selfish. And I think as entrepreneurs, business owners, people in management and leadership roles, we tend to think that the only option is to just keep going and going harder at it and working longer hours. And actually, you can't pour from an empty cup. It's true. I found out the hard way. And sometimes you just need to pause. And I will, now, 10 years ago, I will at 11 a.m. if I'm super stressed, go for a run or go for a walk if I don't have meetings on, because I'll have a much more productive afternoon if I just take that mini break, get outside and just get my body moving. And that's not for everyone, but that's what works for me. But giving yourself permission to take that break, go and have a cup of tea, sit in the garden, whatever it is that really just gives you that mental space. I just think it's so important. And I think by pushing through, we're actually only making it worse for ourselves.
I think so. And I find if I'm pushing through, then I start doing things like, oh, maybe I need some chocolate, or,
Yes.
or I'll just do this with a glass of wine, and it's like, okay, not helpful.
Not helpful. Not helpful, but we've all been there, let's be honest.
Totally, yeah. But I'm with you. Sometimes if I've just got 10 minutes, I just go and lie down and just have this micro nap.
Yep.
And I feel so much better for it. I sound like my grandmother now. But,
You've got to find, what works for you.
I think that's right. You do have to find what works for you. I also have found for me, having a mastermind group that I can talk to really helps, because it sort of normalizes. So when I say to them, God, I'm exhausted, then everybody sort of goes, oh yeah, me too. And you suddenly feel like, oh, maybe this is just a normal thing this year, or at this stage or whatever. Because I find the middle of winter sometimes can be a bit of a slumpy time too, can't it?
Absolutely.
So having a group where you can talk about some strategies and just sort of bounce off one another in that sense. And even if, you don't, it doesn't change the way you feel, at least you know that others are going through it and you've got some strategies when you've got the energy to use them.
Absolutely. And sometimes being part of those groups as well, even if everyone's not feeling the same, the energy that you can get from the others in the group kind of can pick you up a bit and go, oh, they're doing fine, I'll be fine as well. And you can, it does sort of lift your mood and lift your energy, just being, part of those groups and discussions.
I think that's a really interesting one, because what I have found through COVID, particularly through lockdowns in Melbourne, is that whilst I'm quite introverted, there is definitely an extrovert part to me. And that part has been craving social company, and I think when we work on our own particularly, getting that energy from others is a really important thing, and we all have, it's very unusual for you not to have any aspect of needing that.
Yeah.
So we all have some element, I think, of that extroversion where we draw our energy from other people. So you're right, just being around other people can really help that, I think.
Definitely. And one of the other things that I like to do or suggest when we're feeling a little bit like this, and it's interesting what you said about midwinter is often, I think that's true. I think, particularly here in Australia, our moods do tend to float with the seasons. And maybe that's why at this time of year, we're a little taken aback by how we're feeling, because it's usually a time when we're all high energy and moods are up. So maybe if this had happened in the middle of winter, we wouldn't have thought about it at all. But one of the things that I think we can do to help start to get some momentum, because I think momentum is key, is get some quick wins. So work on mini tasks or mini projects rather than trying to tackle this huge monumental project that has so many moving parts. It's just exhausting thinking about it. Start with something little that you can get a quick win on, and that can start to build the momentum to give you the energy to focus on the big projects.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because you're right, momentum is the key. If you can start it,
Yeah.
it is about that sort of just like a snowball, isn't it? Just trying to build on little things. And I think, as you said, it's just this, if you can finish the day thinking, I've got a couple of things done,
Yeah. Yeah.
then you don't feel quite as floaty.
Or exhausted.
Yeah,
as you
that
otherwise
too.
would. But
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
it's definitely, it's an interesting time for it to hit us, but I agree with you. Talking to different people, there's a lot of people feeling this way, even well into quarter one of the year, which we are. This isn't just of the first 2 weeks of January trying to get over that first slump. This is a little bit more long lasting, and I think just be kind to yourself, guys. It's fine. We'll all be fine.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, just don't push too hard. Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. I think kindness, yes, kindness is the key. And often I talk about kindness to other people, but you're right, being kind to ourselves is so important. So yes, that's a lovely note to end on.
I think so.
Yay.
Yes. So if you're feeling a little like this, you're not alone, is what we want you to know.
Absolutely. No, I think that's so true. Lovely, Christy Lee. Thank you.
Great to chat.
I'm going to go and make a little plan and achieve something.
Okay, I'm going to have a coffee.
All right. See you in a couple of weeks.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.